Well, good evening, everyone. We are so excited to have you all here tonight for the first International Baton Twirling Federation North American Town Hall webinar. I am Jennifer Marcus, one of your moderators for the evening, and I first wanted to remind you about some Zoom practices for those that might be unfamiliar with this platform. Just to let you all know, this webinar is being recorded live, and it will be available at a later date on our YouTube channel, which you can find under International Baton Twirling Federation. At this time, please click Speaker View in the top right of your screen. Our webinar this evening will last approximately 40 minutes with the IBTF North American Executive Committee members answering many of the questions that you have received in the past months and year. If you have any additional questions, feel free to submit them over in the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. These will be answered later in another town hall or on the FAQ section of the website. Because of time constraints, any questions submitted will not be answered on this webinar tonight. And if you have any housekeeping questions, please feel free to ask them over in the chat box and I'll be able to help you. I'll also be posting some links through the chat throughout the webinar that correlates with some of our panelists, what they'll be sharing with you guys tonight. Those IBTF executives that are joining us tonight are from North America. I'd like to introduce them now. There's Sandy Wiemers, President, Beverly Johnson, Vice President, Jeff Johnson, Secretary General, Amy Arellano Williams, Sport Administrator, Darlene King Gabori, Technical Executive, Dale White, Technical Executive, Jackie Stewart, Technical Executive. Other main members of the Executive Managing Committee that are not on the call this evening are John Patrick Rousset, Maurizio Schizzoli, Lise Hagen Rebestad, Moto Tushia, Denise Pierce, Paul Rutten, Christine Bell, Paola DiMarchi, and Rita Schruten. The IBTF Executive Managing Committee is a group of WBTF and WFNBTA representatives who meet physically once or twice a year and conduct all other business regularly via conference meetings and email. So thank you again for joining us tonight. At this time, I'm going to be sending you over to President Sandy Wiemers for a brief message before the town hall begins. Sandy, here we go.
Thank you, Jen. I want to read part of a heartfelt message that our marketing and communications member, Jeff Matthias, helped write for this, and it's also on our website, and I felt it was a very heartfelt message. 2020 was supposed to be a monumental year for baton twirling. There were 2 world championships to look forward to, countless local and national contests to help our twirlers prepare for their shining moments, and a beginning to a new era of baton twirling led by the IBTF. Unfortunately, due to the COVID-19, all of the hard work and preparations were cut short, ending the season prematurely. The athletes' dreams had to be put on hold with the decision to postpone these major events, but ultimately, it was the right call to make. With the absence of a season, however, to look forward to, our athletes have shown us that the future is still very bright. They have taken to social media to share their new practice spots. They have created and connected through fun challenges like #ApartTogether, Go Long videos, World Baton Twirling Day, and the TikTok performances, just to name a few. So never have we really ever been closer as a community, even though we're forced to remain apart. Our sport is receiving new appreciation through online platforms showcasing the creativity that our sport has to offer. When our athletes felt like they were lost during all of this crazy time, they are the ones reminding us that we love baton twirling. Now, we must have hope and confidence that we can look forward to coming together in 2022 under the umbrella of the IBTF for its first World Baton Twirling Championship and enjoy the great opportunities that will be provided as we work towards unification. Together, we are better and stronger in our quest to make baton twirling relevant in the world of sport. So with that said, I'm turning this over to our monitor, PJ Birkin, who will be with us this evening. And take it away, PJ.
Hi, everyone. We're so glad that you were able to join us, and I have the unique privilege of serving as your moderator for tonight's webinar. The purpose of the webinar is to provide information about IBTF in general and to promote the inaugural IBTF World Baton Twirling Championship that will take place in 2022. Before we go any further, we did want to mention that IBTF will also conduct an informational webinar for the European baton twirling community on June 25th. But we wanted to hold the meeting at a time in the evening that made it convenient to attend based on geographical locations and time zones around the world. Without further delay, let us begin. Our first question is for Sandy, President of IBTF. Sandy, could you please share the purpose of IBTF and why we are doing all of this?
Yes, for many years, the general baton twirling community has wondered why our sport is not better recognized and part of the Olympic movement. The briefest answer I can give you is this: baton twirling cannot be considered for recognition because we lack the number of official national federations in the world to qualify. Now, to further explain, an official national sport federation is a registered organization within a country that has a democratically elected board of directors and other working committees made up of its members who conduct good governance by a fair and legitimate process to govern the activities of the sport. It takes 60 official national member federations in a sport to qualify for Olympic recognition, and it takes 40 official member federations to qualify for acceptance as a member of the Global Association of International Sports Federations. Becoming a member of the Global Association of International Sports Federation, or GAISF for short, is the first step that all international federations must take to ever achieve Olympic status. Please also keep in mind that all twirling organizations must come together under one umbrella to have any chance of moving forward towards GAISF membership and hopefully someday Olympic level. There cannot be two international federations in a sport, and there cannot be two world championships practiced in the same sport. So we know there are differences between organizations, which certainly take time to sort out, but we've begun working on this process to bring the sport together under one organization, the IBTF.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. So to further go on with that point around GAISF recognition, why is it important for the sport of baton twirling?
Well, as I said before, it's really the catalyst to Olympic recognition, and GAISF was founded like 1967, and it's the key pillar of the wider sports movement, and it acts as the voice for its 125 members, associate members and observers, which include both Olympic and non-Olympic sports organizations.
Okay, thank you. So is this all about getting baton twirling in the Olympics? Is that the only thing we are working towards?
Well, getting into the Olympics is a wonderful goal, which certainly takes many years to accomplish. But no, it's not the only objective. Other than the Olympics, some of the most recognized sporting events in the world today are multi-sport events, which fall under the jurisdiction of GAISF, like, for instance, the Asian Games, the Commonwealth Games, the Pan American Games, the Mediterranean Games, among others. But however, before multi-sport games participation can become a reality for baton twirling, the recognition of a single international governing body as a member of GAISF must happen. And GAISF membership also brings about other benefits for baton twirling. It's become the gold standard, which implies good governance by a democratic, fair, and legitimate international sports governing body. GAISF recognition can assist with sport recognition and acceptance by each country's own sport governing bodies. It can help provide leverage for access to and use of training facilities. It can help validate our sport for access to potential sponsors and mass media. And it certainly is a recognition that is a requirement to be eligible for funding in many countries and technical assistance in sport training education methods. So GAISF has several levels of membership, and the first level IBTF must achieve is called AIMS. AIMS stands for the Alliance of Independent Members of Recognized Sports. And AIMS represents the interests of sports which are not recognized by the International Olympic Committee.
Thank you. That's exciting to hear you calling us a sport. So what other projects is IBTF currently developing?
Well, I think the most exciting development is IBTF's two World Championships beginning in 2022. And I'm delighted to have my North American executive colleagues on board this evening to help answer some questions.
We are too. So one last question for you, and then we'll turn it over to the other executive committee members. Will IBTF hold a general assembly for all national federation members sometime in the future?
Yes. The actual date had been determined to follow the first 2 years of the World Championships just mentioned. But now, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, those two competitions have been moved from 2021 and 2022 to 2022 and 2023. And so therefore, the executive will be discussing the need possibly to move the first General Assembly until those first 2 years of competition have been completed. But the first General Assembly will include elections for a new IBTF Executive Managing Committee, which will continue to include an equal representative from both WBTF and WFNBTA. So the details of all the election process will be finalized sometime in the future by the Managing Committee.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And attendees, be sure to check out Revolution, our newsletter, because you can be up to date on all of the information between there and our website. Thank you for that informative overview. Let's move on and talk a little bit about these IBTF competitions that we're working towards for the future. Our first question is for Jackie Stewart, and it's related to the athletes and the type of athletes that can compete. Are IBTF competitions only for the top elite level twirlers, Jackie?
No, PJ, they're not. The IBTF vision is to become the multidisciplinary governing body for the sport of baton twirling as recognized by GAISF. This will naturally involve overseeing world championship competitions, but the IBTF will also have programs that provide developing athletes with other international competitive opportunities.
That is very exciting to hear. Darlene King Gabori, how often are the IBTF World Championship competitions going to be held?
Hi, PJ, thanks. The answer to that question is that the IBTF will be hosting events each year in August. There are many disciplines that the IBTF are offering, so they have been broken into two segments. We'll be hosting the World Baton Twirling Championships along with the World Majorette Championships and the Nations Cup starting in August of 2022. And then we alternate with the Freestyle and the Rhythmic World events, which will be held the following summer in 2023. So everyone can look forward to seeing our amazing athletes in action every year. Back to you, PJ.
A lot of travel to look forward to. Okay, so Amy, if the WFNBTA and the WBTF are partnering to form the IBTF, can you share what will happen to each of them independently?
The WFNBTA and the WBTF will continue to exist and operate independently until the countries are unified. The hope is that this partnership encourages all national federations to begin the dialogue and work towards unification. Examples of unified countries are France, Scotland, Croatia, Czech Republic, Ireland, and Russia. There are also other countries that have started discussions and are working on joint competitions. An example of this is England for the IBTF World Championships in 2022. Both organizations will be hosting this championship.
Yes, thank you, Amy. Jeff Johnson, can you share what will happen to the IBTF Grand Prix?
Sure, thanks, PJ. The IBTF Grand Prix started in 2015 in Canada, that was the first one, and then was held again in 2017 in Croatia and 2019 in France. So that competition is now being retired, but it demonstrated that WFNBTA federations and WBTF federations could bring together the best athletes from both in an open spirit of competition. So the IBTF World Championship competitions, they now represent the next major step in that WFNBTA, WBTF partnership. And as well, the IBTF is developing a Nations Cup competition for Tier 2 athletes, which will be held just prior to the World Baton Twirling Championship event.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, Dale. So talk to me a little bit more about the Nations Cup. Is it similar to WBTF's International Cup style of competition with different levels offered?
Yeah, but a lot more excitement. That's totally intensified. But yes, the answer to the question is yes. The IBTF Nations Cup is very similar in concept to the WBTF International Cup Level A and Level B athletes' participation. Now, with the 2022 World Baton Twirling Championship, the IBTF is introducing a companion competition, and that's called Nations Cup. Now, that's designed as a Tier 2 competition, and that's for the development of athletes literally all around the world. Now, as always, we encourage everyone to go to the IBTF website and look under the rule book and to read all about the details and the various specifics of the disciplines.
Thank you. And that link is at the bottom of the screen at this time. So be sure to check it out after we finish out the webinar. Okay, so Darlene, back to you. What is the purpose and philosophy of the Nations Cup competition, and how does the IBTF ensure the Level B and the Level A Nations Cup competition is fair for the athletes? I believe you might still be on mute.
There we go. I have to unmute myself. Okay, well, anyway, that's a great question because the Nations Cup is new for the WFNBTA, but not for the WBTF. To expand a little bit on what Dale just mentioned, one of the priorities of the IBTF is to support and encourage the growth and development of all of our athletes worldwide. For the elite level athletes, we have the World Championships, but we're also offering the Nations Cup, which is a lower tiered competition, as was said, for athletes that are not yet at the elite level. The competition is being held during the same time frame, actually right before it, as was said. And this is our view that giving our lower leveled athletes the opportunity to be exposed to the highest levels of competition and the incentive and the learning opportunities that provides is very important for the growth of our sport. Every level matters. It's also practical because there will likely be athletes that will be at different proficiency levels in the disciplines that are offered between the Nations Cup, the World Majorette Championships, and the World Baton Twirling Championships. So for athletes to only have to travel once to be able to take part in and be exposed to those three events makes sense economically. Now, something I should mention though, is that the Nations Cup has very strict fair play rules that are in place and severe penalties for athletes that do not adhere to the rules, such as content restrictions. For those of you that are not familiar with content restrictions, this is basically a list of what an athlete can and cannot perform in a given discipline in order to be eligible to compete at the A or B levels, which are the levels that are offered at the Nations Cup. So it's very important for everyone to remember that this is not a competition where elite level athletes can simply water down or simplify their programs in order to be eligible to compete at the Nations Cup. We feel it's very necessary that the Nations Cup provides fair and level playing fields for all of its athletes. So to help navigate through this new event, a list of all the content restrictions and the fair play rules, etc., are located on our website in the IBTF World Championship Rulebook. So please make yourselves familiar with what the expectations are. And I know I, for one, am really looking forward to a very well-attended and exciting triple event in 2022 in Liverpool. Back to you, PJ.
Thanks, Darlene. Me too. This is kind of making me want to dust off my batons and come out of retirement. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the 2022 IBTF World Baton Twirling Championship. And this question is for Beverly Johnson. And we would like to know, what are the disciplines that are going to be involved in the World Baton Twirling Championship?
Well, hello, everyone. I would like to go through this long list, which is both a group of all of the major events from both organizations. And to begin this long and wonderful list, the World Baton Twirling Championship disciplines include solo, 2 and 3 baton, exstrut, artistic twirl, artistic pair and duet, twirl team and artistic team, twirling corps, and artistic group. And then the majorette disciplines are traditional corps, exhibition corps, parade corps, and show twirl and accessory corps. A wonderful group of disciplines. Thank you.
Thank you. That's exciting. What a wonderful championship that is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
How do athletes, well, this question is for Amy Williams. Amy, can you share how athletes qualify for the IBTF World Championship or the IBTF Nations Cup?
The qualifying process will be left up to each member federation. Some countries will hold a qualifying competition either with their national championships or in a completely separate competition, or they may elect to hold a year-round process system. In keeping with the IBTF philosophy statement for equitable competition, Level B and Level A athletes have specific content restrictions. These will apply at the Nations Cup competition itself and should also apply during any national qualifying process.
Okay, thank you, Amy. And then we get to the year 2023, and there will be the first IBTF Freestyle and Rhythmic Twirl World Championship. What disciplines are going to be involved in that championship, Jackie?
The World Freestyle and Rhythmic Championship includes the disciplines of freestyle solo, rhythmic twirl, freestyle pair, and freestyle team. The format for the competitions beyond the 22 and 23 cycle is still being established by the IBTF executive.
Okay, and so to elaborate on that a little bit further, can you explain the difference between the freestyle solo and rhythmic twirl events?
Yes, freestyle solo is a discipline that combines a short program of 8 required elements performed to standard music with a free program choreographed to the athlete's own choice of music. Rhythmic twirl is strictly a free program choreographed to the athlete's own choice of music with standard WFNBTA rules with limited acrobatic moves.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you so much, Jackie. Okay, turning it to you, Dale. If those who do not currently do short program can you share what avenues they could take to learn the short program?
Sure, yeah, seems to be some mystique about all of that. Let me see if I can dispel that. As 2022 progresses, there will be more detailed information about the 2023 World Freestyle and Rhythmic Championship that will assist everyone who is interested in learning more about the short program. Now, with all of the criteria and all of its educational instruction. In the meantime, however, the WBTF website does have public available information about the required elements of the short program for the juniors. And for those of you who know about this a little bit, you know that the same elements are contained in the short program for seniors, and the seniors have choreography in between the elements to the standard piece of music. Just starting there would be a good beginning to learn about that discipline. Also, I want to bring to your attention that's also publicly available on the WBTF website is the complete rules document for short program. I just happen to know that is section 13 of the WBTF policy manual. Go to WBTF.org and view that just for your reading pleasure and to learn more about that. I also wanted to inform everybody that the IBTF also plans to hold an online webinar clinic sometime in the near future where athletes and coaches can learn more about the short program. And of course, we're going to release that information when it's available. Also, I do want to mention too that there are also WBTF athletes who would really love to have the opportunity to learn more about the disciplines being offered in 2022 that are also new to them, such as X-strut and duet, for example. So we plan to publish more information soon along those lines on the website as well. So a lot of really exciting things down the pike here.
Yes, it sure sounds like it. And it also sounds like if you have not read the rules, you should probably take some time to review them. In regards to the rules and policies, they can all be found, as we've mentioned a few times, on the IBTF website at www.ibtf-batontwirling.org. Okay, one specific area in question. WBTF athletes have been allowed to perform gymnastics, but this has always been restricted, well, in the last several years, has been restricted for WFNBTA athletes. How will IBTF balance that difference? And this question is for Beverly Johnson.
Thank you, PJ. Achieving this balance began when the following statement was agreed upon by the 2015, 2017, and 2019 Grand Prix judges. The Grand Prix judges agreed that the use of acrobatics, even though permitted, would not be given extra consideration, nor would its use contribute to determining the rating and ranking of athletes. And then from that agreement came the following statement, which is now the official IBTF philosophy regarding gymnastics and acrobatics. I hope you'll forgive me for a moment as I carefully read this statement. Its importance simply cannot be overestimated. IBTF adjudication philosophy prioritizes, first and foremost, the quality and technique of aerial work, rolls, contact material, and accompanying bodywork. All other enhancements to a performance, such as acrobatics, floor work, dance, novelty, will not supersede the qualities and skill of achieved and developed baton twirling skills. And then to further underline the commitment to this philosophy, beginning with the 2022 World Championships and the 2022 Nations Cup, specific rules will apply to each discipline and level. For example, athletes competing in solo are restricted to 2 acrobatic moves with different requirements as to how those movements are executed and which moves are allowed, depending on the level of your athlete. So, and also other individual and group disciplines are also affected by specific requirements. So please, and it's to reiterate almost every one of us, take a few moments to find all of those rules and acrobatic definitions in the IBTF rulebook located on the website. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Bev. I don't know about other people, but I just took a huge sigh of relief because walkovers and aerials were not my thing. So that definitely made it a little bit easier. Okay, so to wrap up our webinar this evening, how was the IBTF Managing Committee chosen? And this question is for Jeff Johnson.
Well, thanks. So that goes back to 2013 when executive members from the WBTF and from NBTA's Global Alliance Committee met to explore a partnership that would bring together all of the baton twirling athletes in the world. And so those individuals, they brought their own personal experience to the sport, as well as a responsibility to their respective organizations. That NBTA Global Alliance Committee evolved into the WFNBTA, and those executive members continue to be a part of the IBTF Executive Managing Committee. And that group of people from both WBTF and now WFNBTA, they have continued to meet regularly ever since. They've remained committed to the principle of balance between WBTF and WFNBTA. And of course, they're working to advance the sport of baton twirling.
It's more than evident that you guys have spent a lot of time working towards this together, and it's so appreciated. Okay, how will the next IBTF leader, well, sorry, I should rephrase that question. How will the selection of IBTF leadership happen in the future? And I'm going to kick things back to our president, Sandy Weimers.
Thanks, PJ. Well, we expect that election for the IBTF leadership will be held at its first General Assembly, where the member national federations will conduct those elections according to the protocols defined by the IBTF policy manual. I think in closing, this has been, I hope, informative to everyone. I certainly want to thank Jen Marcus and PJ Birkin, who are members of the IBTF's marketing and communications team, for being our great moderators this evening, and also thanks to my North American colleagues for taking the time to answer questions on this webinar. Please don't forget to check for updates on the IBTF website at www.ibtf-batontwirling.org. We wish all of you the best, and we want to encourage all of our athletes and our coaches worldwide to keep up your spirits. Soon we'll all be back together again, and we look forward to a bright future for our sport. Back to you, Jen.
Thank you so much, Sandy, and thank you, PJ, for moderating this evening. We want to thank everyone for taking the time to attend this IBTF North American webinar this evening, and we hope you found our group of panelists interesting and informative. On the IBTF website, you're welcome to submit feedback and questions under the menu Contact Us. But the IBTF Executive Committee will do their best to answer what's possible, either through our posted FAQ section on the site or in a webinar in the future. Like PJ had mentioned earlier, there will be a European executive webinar as well in a couple weeks. The information will be the same, and both of those presentations will be posted on our YouTube channel after that webinar takes place. One last thing, if you're interested in learning more about the Marketing and Communications Committee, feel free to send us a request on the Contact Us section of the website. And as always, you can follow us on our Facebook page. The link is in the chat, or on Instagram to find out what's happening currently, as well as our IBTF website. So I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. Everyone is staying safe, and we look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Have a great night.